Hi, this is Michelle DeLeon for Two Peas in a Bucket with another Seeing Double video. Today I'm going to focus on map-related products for this layout and card that I made. If my style isn't your thing, Jill Sprout also did a really great video recently about maps and globes that you should definitely check out. So I started with this photo of me and my boyfriend, and it's a really light, pretty photo, and that's what I wanted the rest of the page to feel like. So here I'm just looking through some of my map products. So I have this Simple Stories neutral map print here, and the map print is really subtle. And this other one here by Studio Calico from the new Atlantic line, and it has these map prints under anchors. And this one here by Teresa Collins from the Far and Away collection, it has this really nice map print on both sides. I also picked out this colorful aerial print by Allison Kreft for Webster's Pages. And also some other papers that I thought might work well. So I have another one by the Studio Calico Atlantic line, and other papers with chevrons or arrows just because I thought that might work well with the whole travel theme. So I think I'm going to use the neutral Simple Stories paper for the background, and I'm going to mat it on that more colorful aerial print by Webster's Pages. So here's a look at some of the embellishments that I pulled out. There's some of these cork circles from the new Studio Calico Atlantic line, and different stickers, mostly vellum, that I thought would work well with the light feel of the photo. And I'm not really sure if I'm going to use all of these products or add some different ones in that aren't shown. I'd just like to play around with things, and sometimes I take things out or add things in that I didn't originally think of. So I'm just going here and looking through some things I might want to use. But I definitely do want to try to use these American Crafts map printed thickers. I think they'd work nicely for my title. I picked out some enamel dots here, and also some sequins. They're all mixed up in there. I have some gold along with some of the new Studio Calico Atlantic ones. And I also picked out these Jilly Bean Soup alpha beans that I wanted to use to spell out the rest of my title. So I used my silhouette to cut out this world map on white cardstock. In the new Two Peas digital store, there's also other maps and globes as digital cuts that you can use. So here I'm just laying out the pieces and trying to put it back together. The main idea that I had for this page was to have little strips of journaling cut out to show the different places that my boyfriend and I have been together and apart, since we usually do long distance throughout the school year. Here I'm just trying to put the strips of paper as accurately as I can to the corresponding place. Now that I have an idea of where my journaling will be, I know that I want the photo to be in the center of the page, and I'm just looking to see what paper I want to mat it with. So I thought I wanted to go with that yellow chevron, and then I changed my mind. It just wasn't popping out. So I decided on this cork print paper by Simple Stories, and I like how it's looking because it's helping the photo stand out a bit more against the light background, since the photo itself is so light. And here I'm just taking out some embellishments. I usually like to layer on my pages, but I didn't want to put too much pattern paper to cover up the whole map. So I decided to work with that vertical line in between, and I'm just trying to place my embellishments along that line. So here I'm just trying to see what works. And I ended up changing my mind about that cork circle. I just thought it was a little bit too much cork with that paper. So I'm looking for another circular element here to replace it, and I decided on this vellum sticker from Amy Tangerine. And I think that looks a lot better to add an extra pop of color and to tie in with the pink in that Webster's Pages background. I wanted to add sequins along that vertical line. I just really wanted a whimsical kind of feel, and I wanted almost a burst of embellishments, and I thought sequins were a good way to achieve that look. So here I'm just looking through to find some colors that would work. I don't think that that blue there would go too well with the rest of the page. So I'm just looking for more neutral colored ones and some yellow to again bring out the yellow from that Webster's Pages background. And I'm just trying to scatter them along that line. And as you can probably tell, my process is a little haphazard. I do just like to move things around and try to see what works for me. So there's a lot of trial and error, and I'm okay with that. And I used my silhouette to cut out this little geotag with a heart, and it's a cut file from the new 2Ps digital store. I made it quite a bit smaller just because I wanted it to be a little accent with my title. So now I'm trying to take out the thickers to spell out my title. And I usually just put the thickers onto my ruler so that I can move things around. And I'm pretty indecisive, so if I place it down, I will probably move it anyways. So the title is going to be Home is Wherever I'm With You, which is a lyric from the song Home by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. I decided to put my title in the bottom right-hand corner just because most of the journaling strips were in the top left-hand corner, and I thought I could make a diagonal line from that journaling to the photo and then to the title at the bottom. I did leave a little extra space along the side and at the bottom just because I did know that I would have to cut it off to mat it onto that colorful paper in the end. So now I'm just adding the rest of my title onto the ruler with the Jelly Bean Soup alphas. And I just sped it up because it was a little tedious watching me put each letter on. And I'm just making sure I like the placement and the spacing and putting it down. Just finishing off the rest of the title now, and I didn't add any of the dots or apostrophes yet. I just waited to the end to do that to make sure I was happy with how everything was placed in case I wanted to move something. And now I'm ready to start adhering things down. So I'm just going to start with the photo here. I also brought out my hot glue gun just because I thought it would be easier to adhere the little strips of journaling with just a dot of glue and also to adhere the sequins. So I'm just waiting for it to heat up here and just looking at the page overall to make sure I'm happy with how everything is placed. And then I decided I should probably adhere down that map since there's so many little pieces. And I'll apologize, I did miss a few pieces just because some of it got caught in my silhouette or I didn't manage to get it off of the mat. So I just tried to get as much as I could and tried to place it down accurately, but not too sure how my spatial judgment is. I'm just getting ready to adhere the rest of the map down. The reason that I chose to cut it out on white cardstock instead of on a pattern paper was that I didn't want any pattern or color to overpower the small journaling strips. Otherwise, I think a subtle print would have been nice, and there's many choices that you could go with. And now I'm just using my hot glue gun to add a small dot of glue to the journaling strip. I thought that it would be the easiest type of adhesive to use for such a small strip. And I'm just trying to put the strips kind of at angles. I didn't want them all straight, mostly because, especially for the Canada portion, there are quite a bit, and if they were all straight, they wouldn't, you wouldn't be able to read all of them. And I just sped this part up because I took some time to try to make sure I was putting them in the correct spot. I also wanted to use some enamel dots just for the tip of the strip of journaling. I originally wanted to use colorful enamel dots, but I was out of colors of all of the small ones. So I'm just using what I had in my stash and just adding it to the end so it kind of looks like it's pinned onto the map. And that's looking good, so now I'm ready to adhere my photo down onto the page. So I'm just trying to make sure it's exactly where I want it before sticking it down. And now I'm ready to adhere my embellishments. So I'm just doing a final check to make sure that they are where I want them to be. And I'm just using some hot glue because I kind of unstuck the adhesive on the stickers while I was moving things around on the page, just to make it easier so it wouldn't get stuck onto the paper. And also added a pop dot onto that Hello Sunshine sticker just to have it stick out a little bit more. And now I'm just adding the sequins on with the hot glue and just trying to make sure that the little strings of glue didn't get caught onto the photo because that can be kind of annoying to take off after. After I'd adhered everything down, I decided that I did want some gold ink splatters, so I just used a scrap piece of paper to cover the photo, and I'm just trying to carefully add the Heidi Swap Color Shine in gold around where the sequins are. I like how the ink splatters turned out. I think it helped to add to the burst of circular embellishments down the center of the page. Another idea I had to create that look was to use confetti from punching out pattern paper from that Swiss cheese punch. But I like how the sequins and the ink splatters worked out. That's also why I chose the two circular embellishments near the bottom, the vellum heart and the Hello Sunshine sticker. I just wanted it to kind of blend in and go with the circular theme. Now I'm just getting ready to mat it onto that colorful aerial view paper. I knew there'd be a lot of extra space, so I kind of left it to the end, but I could have done that at the beginning before I even started. So to finish off the page, I added some machine stitching just along the border, and I also added some more embellishments with that kite sticker and the stars, just because I wanted it to blend in a little bit more with the sequins and that whole vertical line that was going down the page. And I felt like that spot was just a little empty before. So this is the final page. It ended up being pretty simple, but I like the bold statement of the map, and this page is one that's really special to me. So for my card, I started out with this white card base. I'm also using the same paper that I used in my page, that Aerial View Webster's Pages paper. And I also have a little piece of vellum here I'm going to use for a layer, as well as some white cardstock for another layer. I picked out these basic gray mint julep die cuts and transparencies. I am thinking about using that tag that's a transparency with a bit of pink in it. And I also picked out this die cut from Dear Lizzie Lucky Charm that says, "Let's go be adventurers." I cut out this arrow with my silhouette, and it's a die cut from the 2Ps digital store. I also picked out this Lawn Fawn trimmings in an orange and pink color because I thought it would work well. And we're going to start by cutting out a piece of that Webster's Pages paper and adhering it down because I know for sure that I want it to be the background. Now I'm going to cut that vellum and the white cardstock. So I'm not going to measure anything, I just know that I want the vellum to be smaller than that background, and I want the white piece to be smaller than the vellum. And now I'm just trying to figure out where I want to place the different elements. So I'm just placing that die cut down, and I think I want to add the arrow kind of at an angle. And I also wanted to add this transparent tag from Basic Gray. And I think I'm going to place the die cut in the center where there's no print. So now I'm just placing it down to see how that looks. And I like how that fits there. I also wanted to add a bow at the top of the tag, so I'm just going to cut a piece of this lawn fawn trimmings and just place it up there. So that's looking good, and I like the extra texture and dimension that the bow gives. And I'm going to start adhering the different layers. So I know that the center of the vellum will be covered, so that's where I placed the adhesive so it wouldn't show through. And just adding that white piece as well. And then adding this tag. So again, I know that center part will be covered, so that's where I put the adhesive so it wouldn't show through. And I used a pop dot to adhere the die cut just so it'd stand out a bit more. And I'm using my hot glue gun to adhere the arrow. I just had it out because I knew I wanted to use it to adhere the bow to the top. And that's looking good, but I think the bow is a little too long, so I'm just going to trim it a bit. And here's the finished card. And the two finished projects again. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see your map projects in the gallery.